Hello, everybody. Another edition of Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley alongside my good buddy Brendan Gaughan. And this week we're going to be wrapping up everything at Phoenix and going back to the not-so-dirty Bristol Motor Speedway this week. Ain't you excited to be back on the concrete?
It still can get dirty there, but it's not quite as dirty as what it was. And
your shoes might stay clean.
They haven't gotten rid of us yet.
No?
Guess it's harder on this studio to really get rid of us now, isn't it?
Yeah. I think they need people to fill time. I think that's what it is. In fact, you surprised us this week by actually being in studio. Brendan, who says, I'm going to be remote this week, and in 30 minutes before the show, he comes walking through the door. So
planes, trains, and automobiles. But listen, Anne said she couldn't do this without me this week. She missed me so much. She just said it had to be done.
And your poor kids on spring break, you're having to ditch them for an afternoon.
I have two kids, by the way. There's two friends with my two kids. I don't have four. There's 4 kids.
Did I say 4?
You said your 4 kids, but it is 4 kids. There's 4 kids.
No, I say your poor kids.
Oh, poor kids.
Because you're leaving them behind for an afternoon.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they can deal with it.
Well, one guy who's not poor this week is Christopher Bell. We heard that the Toyotas had made some major improvements in this short track package with this new package NASCAR's got in. Christopher Bell dominated that race on Sunday.
Listen, the Toyotas dominated the race on Sunday, not just Christopher Bell. I mean, if you look at the lap leaders, you had we had Martin Truex Jr. led 66 laps. You had Tyler Reddick led 68. Denny Hamlin led 68. The only non-Toyota, Ty Gibbs led 57 laps. The only non-Toyota was Todd Gilliland. Led 14 laps during one of the
pit cycles.
It was a pit cycle. But now, the Front Row Motorsports team, don't fake on them, Front Row Motorsports guys. They are getting really good. That new Tier 1 level thing with Ford, the new Penske affiliation is working well. But the Toyotas absolutely crushed it this race.
Well, and knowing that 3 of the next 4 races coming up are also short track races. And let's face it, to some degree, road courses have the characteristics a little bit of short track races because you've got tight turns. I know we're going to go to COTA, and there's one area where you are really carrying a lot of speed down that, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it a backstretch, but you know what I'm talking about. You make that big hairpin at the top of the hill and you come back down. So
the Toyotas right now, look, they definitely. The one thing about Toyota that I've said from the get-go before they came into the sport and everybody was really used to it when they were coming, Toyota knows how to do racing. It doesn't matter where they go. When they get into motorsports, they do a phenomenal job. And what they looked at was they have not been good at Phoenix since they brought this car out. And what is our championship race, Jeff? It's Phoenix.
And then they've got to feel like the rules are going to be pretty much exactly the same when they go back in the fall. And now Christopher Bell, he's locked into the playoffs. And Christopher Bell, he was in the Final Four last year. He had a tire
brake rotor.
Go down, brake rotor, and he ended up hitting the wall. So I think he's got to be a guy. Oh, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. He saw his odds to win the championship drop dramatically. Yeah. Speaking of his odds, he was a 10-1 favorite to win the race. He was plus 330 for a top 3, plus 250 to win his group, which was Group B. His head-to-heads, couple of them versus Truex and Busch there, it was minus 125. He was the favorite. He helped Toyota get a win there, plus 180. And he watched his championship odds go from 12-1 to a plus 700. That's pretty much putting him right there with Kyle Larson and William Byron as your favorites.
Yeah, and look, this is his 7th career win. You and I looked before the show started. We went and had to look it up. Christopher Bell has won 7 times on 7 different racetracks. And the only thing he hasn't won on is a super speedway. But other than that, this kid has proven that he can do 1.5 miles, he can do short tracks, he can do road courses, he can do the old style road course, he can do the new style road course. The kid is, he is definitely someone to be reckoned with. And last year, remember, who was our favorite when the playoffs started? That dark horse that we said 2 years ago he had to hit the walk-off home run to get in.
He hit a walk-off twice, I believe.
And he's done it. This kid's got some guts on him. He's not afraid of it. I like Christopher Bell early. Him and Kyle Larson. I think the sport of the future of NASCAR
is in good hands.
Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell,
and,
good start.
and William Byron. We got to throw him in there too. And Tyler Reddick, another one, had a great run. Well, let's take a look at speaking of Tyler Reddick. I mean, he actually was in the top 10. But looking at the rest of our top 10, Chris Buescher, who needed a good run, and in fact, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Chris Buescher was the winner of the night race at Bristol last fall. So here's Buescher he gets a second place here, a little bit of momentum heading into Bristol this weekend, but he was plus 700 for a top 3. And the guy that I said was going to be the guy to be the breakout driver this year, Ty Gibbs, comes in. He gets a third place finish, another strong run for a Toyota. He was plus 400 for third. And when you look down the rest of the top 10, I think once you get down near the bottom, maybe we're a little surprised. We see Michael McDowell in 8th and Chase Briscoe, a former Phoenix winner, in 9th. Martin Truex Jr., though, first off, I have a little bone to pick with James Small with his pit strategy because I picked Martin Truex Jr. for a top 3. And I'm not saying he would have beaten Christopher Bell, but I'm saying he would have finished top 3. But kudos to him for having to pit under green with about 40 laps to go and to lose a lap and to fight all the way back to 7th position. That was pretty remarkable. Just shows how strong Martin Truex Jr. is and also shows how strong these Toyotas were again.
They were super strong. And look, you glanced over Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, both RFK cars in the top 5 right there. That's pretty awesome. Chase Briscoe, we've been poo-pooing pretty hard, that Stewart-Haas group over there. And matter of fact, I think I said that Chase Briscoe didn't have a chance in hell in anything in this race, even though he'd had the win here in the past. And he comes home with a top 10, and Noah Gragson with a 12th place finish.
And ran right around 9th, 10th all day long. I think that car went away from him a little bit late. And Tyler Reddick had a way better car than 10th place car.
Tyler Reddick was one stage 1, second stage 2, absolutely was the class of the field, and then just had the bad pit cycle, and it all went from there. But one we didn't talk about, it's not on that top 10 screen there, Jeff. The 77 car of Carson Hocevar. Now, this is what matters to us betting-wise, right? Here's a name people at home do not know who Carson Hocevar is. He's in the 77 team, Spire Motorsports.
If you followed the truck series, though, you knew
absolutely.
The kid would run up front a lot. He just tended to get himself in trouble.
This kid, though, right now, when we talk Spire, we always talk Corey LaJoie, right? Corey LaJoie has been the staple over at Spire for quite a few years. Carson Hocevar is quietly having an amazing start of this season he was not expected to do anything. Another 15th place finish. That's 2 in a row top 15s for him. That's pretty stellar.
And I think you and I pretty much figured that it was going to be a rubber stamp on Josh Berry to be Rookie of the Year.
And
both Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar are certainly going to make the Rookie of the Year battle a pretty good one, because right now Josh Berry's struggling a little bit with Stewart-Haas as opposed to Gragson, who is running well, and Briscoe, who had a good run at Phoenix. Now, we talked about the fact that we're going to be going to Bristol this week, but the next 5 races are going to be really, really telling, especially with this short track program. After Bristol this week, we go down to Austin, Circuit of the Americas. I believe that's going to be about our third or fourth race down there. And the first one, if you really count that, it was in a monsoon that
was awesome,
Chase Elliott.
It was awesome.
It was pretty awesome, I guess, unless you were driving in it. And then a couple more short tracks in Virginia at Richmond International Raceway, then Martinsville, and then we get back to the 1.5 mile game by going to Texas. April the 14th. So a nice little balance of tracks, but I think if you're the Toyotas right now, you're saying, okay, this is my time to shine.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Toyotas definitely have shown some chops now. The Fords, the new Dark Horse Mustang, has actually shown some chops. It's looked pretty good. So I think that right now, Chevrolet's dominance on top of that prop bet of the best, the number one manufacturer, it's in jeopardy. I mean, yeah, they started off strong. You had, William Byron and Kyle Larson, kick the season off. Daniel Suarez with the Atlanta win. Chevy's dominated early, but I'm interested now. The Ford and the Toyota both look really good. They both spent this offseason, and it looks like they spent their time with their engineers in the right places.
Well, and even though Chevrolet had those wins early, I mean, like even Las Vegas, we had a Chevy, a Toyota, and a Ford running top 3. So just because Chevy won the race, it wasn't like they were crushing the competition. Well, now, this weekend, though, we are heading to Bristol. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, we got a little graphic up on the screen. Now, this graphic actually includes 3 races that you and I don't count, and those are the 3 races that was on dirt. They just don't count anymore. They were on dirt, so that's a little bit different. But regardless of whether or not you want to count the dirt records or not the dirt records, Kyle Busch is unbelievable here. On the screen, we've got 34 races, 8 wins. But there's 31 races and 7 wins on the concrete surface at Bristol. I know he hasn't raced very long for RCR, but Kyle Busch and the Busch brothers alone. I mean, Kurt was also incredible at Bristol. Maybe it was their days growing up at the bull ring here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and how dominant they were.
That had to be it.
But granted, we didn't have the banking over there on the bull ring. But a pretty phenomenal record that Kyle Busch is taking into Bristol.
Now taking just the pavement track. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. 6 top 5s in the last 10 races with 3 wins, average finish 10-8. But how about the guy that outdoes him, and not just outdoes him in a little bit? Kyle Larson, 8 races in the last 10. Because remember, he missed a little bit one year. 7 top 10s, 5 top 5s, average finish of 5.8. Kyle Larson at Bristol on the pavement.
Well, and I think we've seen what Kyle Larson's been able to do from a standpoint of racing short tracks. All right, let's take a quick look at our standings right now before we go to our first break. And right now, I mean, we've got our 4 different winners we've had now in the first 4 races. But when you look down through and you look at the cutoff line, you see Chris Buescher sitting down there at the bottom of the cutoff line. It's very early on. But the one name that's missing from this list, who is off to an horrendous start right now, is Joey Logano, 2-time champion. At what point do we start getting concerned about Joey Logano? I mean, is he getting himself into he's got to win a race situation here now?
Listen, there's 2 drivers that I want to worry about. Joey Logano's one, and even though he's in the top 15 right now, Chase Elliott, all 4 races this year, one of only 6 guys without a top 10. I mean, Chase Elliott not off to a good start this year. So
was running well at Phoenix, and then
ifs and buts for candy and nuts.
The whole started going away. I agree.
But, there's some guys down there that definitely need to be moving up. And Joey Logano, 30th place, that screams at the top of him. Austin Dillon even down there still.
I mean, but when do you get to that point that you're like, shoot, I can't point my way in?
Nah.
We're 4 races in. We only got 26.
Yeah, but Joey Logano, the way the Penske team, do you really think Joey Logano's not going to win in the next 22 races? I mean, come on, it's Joey Logano, that team. They've been strong for 7-8 years now. I still think they'll get a win, and I think they can point their way in.
Well, I think he's got to be. He has to be a little bit concerned about where. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure he'd like to be a little bit better. Okay, we come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll start breaking down the odds to win this week at Bristol, as well as the top 3s.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grandview Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grandview Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grandview Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back here in Gaughan Racing, Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan, live on the South Point Studio Ustream or whatever we call it, and also appearing on Sirius XM satellite radio. And Brendan suddenly, I think, has been at the Dirty after 12:30 or something a little too long, because you're sitting up. It's actually because you got up at 4:30 this morning, flew up here from parts unknown in Mexico just to sit here with us and do the show.
Listen, Ann does not like, she was not happy that I wasn't going to be here 2 weeks in a row, and we have more fun than any other deal out here. I'm telling you.
I'm waiting for Ann to have one of those little things. They take camera action where you slam the thing down. Yep, because
clacker.
She was barking out orders back there like a real TV producer.
We need to get one of them cameras back there. This is all new crew here, but I think we need to sneak a camera in, one of those that looks right back at Ann.
Yeah,
you got one back. There's one shooting that way now.
Look at that.
Shoots the whole board now.
Yeah.
Look, hey, everybody's special back there now. All right.
Our Sirius XM listeners are really missing out right now.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Let's get to what we're supposed to do.
Yes, we digress.
A lot.
So we do that often.
A
Okay.
lot.
So let's take a look at our odds to win. Not a big shock that Kyle Larson comes in as a favorite at plus 500. Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell plus 600. William Byron 10-1. Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski at 12-1. Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch 14-1. Ross Chastain at 16. Chase Elliott and Joey Logano at 20. And Martin Truex Jr. at 25-1. I'm curious to hear what jumps out at you, because there's one thing that really jumps out at me up here.
Well, so one of the first ones that jumps out at me is, what do you always say about, what have you done for me lately, right? What did Chris Buescher? Chris Buescher has had speed all season long. Now, had the wheel come off at Vegas, at Atlanta, got caught up in a wreck.
Finished second last week.
Then finished and was fast last week.
And how did he do the last time we raced at Bristol?
Well, that's what. Here's the deal. He was first and fourth in the last two pavement races. So 2022 he won, 2023 he was fourth, and he is coming off of a great run, a lot of confidence in that team, and he's sitting off here at 12-1. That's a pretty nice number for a guy that honestly is, in my eyes, one of the top four guys probably right now in this race.
And how about a guy with 7 wins on the concrete checking in here at 14-1? Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch,
that's a big 14-1.
Number. Look, the RCR cars have not looked great to start this season, so I think there's some of that. But if you take Tyler Reddick at 12-1, we just talked. Even Kyle Larson's number at plus 500 isn't half bad, or Christopher Bell at 600. The problem is there's 5 guys that I really do like just on this page, and there's some great numbers on those guys. And I'm not talking about Chase Elliott until he does something.
Well, and there's one other guy I want to bring up on this first page here.
Bring it up.
So we've talked about how much better the Toyotas are on the short track.
Yes.
And I know he hasn't had a great track record at Bristol, but I think seeing the strong run he had last week, 25-1 on Martin Truex Jr., it's hard for me to sit here and say, okay, if I've got to pick somebody, I'm picking Truex to win this race. But you're going to give me Martin Truex Jr. at 25-1 odds? That's kind of worth throwing a couple bones on, right?
I'll give you the reason, though. Last 10 races, average finish 21.7. One top 10, a 7th place finish in 2021.
And that's what I mean. His history says he should be 25-1. I'm just saying, with the improvements we've seen in the Toyotas.
True.
And I liked how strong he was last week at Phoenix. I know these tracks are different, but I don't think he's uncomfortable here. He just hasn't had any luck here.
Going back to the years that he was winning the championship.
He's dominated some Xfinity races here.
If I go to the years he won the championship, right, when he was at Furniture Row, I see 21st, 30th, 17th, 13th. I see a lot of numbers way down there. Crash, steering.
Did we not say the same thing last week about Christopher Bell's record at Phoenix?
Hey, listen.
I'm just saying.
I'm just giving you updated that. I'm just the stat guy, okay?
I know you're playing devil's advocate with me. I just think at 25-1.
It's a good number, Martin.
I think that's a pretty good number. Okay, let's look at our page 2 for those that are watching on the live stream here. Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman are both 40-1. Michael McDowell, Eric Jones, Noah Gragson, Chase Briscoe 60, Daniel Suarez 80. Your guy, Carson Hocevar, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, speaking of a guy who's off to a rough start, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. all at 100-1. John Hunter Nemechek and A.J. Allmendinger at 200-1. And the list of drivers in the field, whoever's left, is 20-1.
Yeah,
we I don't know why we keep having that field bet. I don't.
It's funny. It's 34. We put these are South Point now. We got South Point odds. They got 34 drivers. That means there's 2 to 4 basically that are in the field.
Thanks, Chris, for throwing that out there.
Hey, way to go, Vinny. Yeah. Vinny and Chris.
Vinny and Chris.
Stepping out on a limb on that one.
See, Vinny wanted us to talk about him on the show, so now we're talking about him on the show.
Making fun of you a little bit, Vinny. Look, to me, this is probably the first race all season, Jeff. I can look at the second page and go, nothing intrigues me about betting a guy right now on the second page. Bubba has one top 10 here in the last 9 starts, and it was a let's go back. Where's it? 10th place finish 4 years ago. Eric Jones, Noah, nobody's screaming that they've run well enough for me to say Daniel Suarez got to win, but I just nothing right now says, ooh, this is a dark horse on this page for me.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in agreement with you there. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I wouldn't be shocked to see a Suarez come up there and have a strong run. And right now, I'm feeling really good about anybody that goes out there in a Toyota. Now, let's see what we get this week if they can back up what they did at Phoenix. But I just know the amount of confidence that's in that camp right now. I know David Wilson and all those guys are probably feeling better about themselves than they have in a while. And I think these guys have got a lot of confidence is all I'm saying when they get onto these short tracks right now. So I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think if you're both Bubba Wallace or if you're Eric Jones, either one, you're sitting there saying.
You're not saying there's a chance.
Just saying.
Saying there's a chance.
All right, let's take a look at our top threes. They mirror a bit our odds to win.
Yeah, but I like a bunch of these.
But Kyle Larson comes in clearly as the favorite there, plus 110. Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, 140. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, plus 300. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, 330. Tyler Reddick and Ty Gibbs at 350. As the screen switches on me and gives me a headache. Ross Chastain and Joey Logano at plus 500. Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. plus 550. Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace at 10-1.
What's funny is that these numbers do move a little bit from, we have South Point.
They also
and
moved
these are
on the screen
Kings.
while I was reading them, by the way.
I was reading on the computer, so it didn't move on me. I was good. But here's what I like. Kyle Busch is 330. Tyler Reddick is 350. These are two guys we talked about in the last one. That's a pretty decent. And Chris Buescher 300. I love that Chris Buescher 300 number. I really, really do. I mean, I think that's a stout number right there for a guy who's really been good here. And even a Joey Logano. I mean, Logano plus 500. He, third, fourth here a couple times. Last couple races had some bad races, suspension and crash, but. And we talked about how he's had speed this year, but had bad finishes. He's got to get off that schneid at some point. It could be here. I like a couple of these numbers right there. That Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, and Joey Logano scream off the page at me. And even maybe Ty Gibbs. He's been great everywhere right now.
Well, and the one you didn't mention that I'm agreeing with you on the ones that you mentioned, but the one you did not mention, who I love, is Tyler Reddick coming in here at a plus 350 to get a top 3. Look, we know he's comfortable racing at Bristol. He loves this type of racetrack. I mean, he and Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson are all those kind of guys that you get these high bank short tracks. They don't mind running it right up by the wall. They can pass people where other people can't. I like guys like that at these kind of racetracks, and I really, really like Tyler Reddick for top 3
and
here.
Ty Gibbs finished 5th last year in this race. That's the
but
kid.
This race was on dirt last year.
No. In the
you
payment
mean
race.
in the fall?
I'm only doing payment race.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he's Ty Gibbs, and the start he's had of the season. He could be a great little, plus 350 right there. That's a good little pickup for a guy that I don't think is out on a limb saying a top 3.
All right. Well, let's take a look at our second page here. Alex Bowman comes in at 10-1. Michael McDowell and Chase Briscoe at 13. Noah Gragson, 14. Daniel Suarez and Hocevar at 18. Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, and Stenhouse all 20. Nemechek, LaJoy, Cindric, Allmendinger at 40-1. Ryan Preece at 60. Todd Gilliland and Daniel Hemrick. I guess they would have been our field guys on the odds to win, getting 80-1 odds to finish in the top 3.
Can the real Alex Bowman please stand up? I don't know which one you're going to get, right? I mean, we've talked about that. Even though he's got 2 top 5s in 9 races here. So, I mean, this is a kid that has proven that he can run here. He's finished 5th, got 2 fifth-place finishes in the last 9 races. I can't tell when he's going to show up, because if you look at William Byron and Kyle Larson, this is a tale of remember the old days where there was the 2 shops?
One up on the hill where Gordon and Jimmy were running out of, and then Dale Jr. and Casey Kane were down in the other shop, and there was a reason that one team was up on the hill and one team was down in the valley.
But Hendrick got rid of that sort of flow a long time ago. But right now you have Kyle Larson and William Byron up here, and you got Chase and Alex down here, and it's almost like where
it's perplexing to understand why the difference right now. But they even talked about it on the broadcast that Chase had kind of struggled with his confidence a little bit, and they feel like that's coming back to him now. So maybe we're going to see some improvement there. I don't know.
I mean, he's got 5 top 10s last 10 starts here, 3 top 5s. I mean, this would be a place that if this was any other time, we'd be saying, oh, Chase Elliott, he's great at Bristol.
The other guy, and I don't know that I'm sitting here and say he's really going to get a top 3, but the fact he's on the second page here, who just wouldn't surprise me because he kind of always sneaks up on us, as Michael McDowell.
He does.
McDowell.
Especially lately. I was bragging about them top of the show.
He got a top 10 last week at Phoenix. I think that team has probably got more confidence than it's ever had.
And what have you done for me lately? 11th in 2022, and last year on the pavement, 6th. Qualified 4th.
6th.
So, I mean, this is a guy that this team has definitely shown some renewed interest in how well they're running. And if I'm looking at top 3 and I'm looking at this page, I'm not afraid to go on a limb with Michael McDowell, maybe a Daniel Suarez, but that's kind of out there to me.
And and Austin Dillon has typically run well here. He hasn't always finished well here, but he's run well. But he is another guy, much like Joey Logano, who I just feel like he's somewhat snake bit right now.
Yeah, they got to do something to right that ship over there. They are absolutely not doing well. The 32nd in points, 35th in points, something like that. I mean, 32nd. Yeah, it's tight.
They got some work to do. Okay, we come back on Gaughan Racing. It'll be time to start giving you the driver head-to-heads, and we'll start our favorites, the group matchups.
From the South Point studio, the perfect blend of sports.
But I think the Niners are going to wear them down. Detroit Pistons lost their 36 games.
Comedy.
See over-under on that relationship lasting. I'm going to put mayo in the coffee.
Yeah.
I am beautiful.
And a whole lot of Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Join Ryan McCormick.
That's at least 2 picks outside of our own in the first round next year. Oreo.
And host Frank Nicotero.
I look at the clock, I go, ah! Ah!
Oh! Watch Punchlines live at noon every weekday.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind Racin sportsbooks. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sportsbook, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day.
Back here on Gaughan Racing, segment 3, Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan, live from the South Point studio here in beautiful Las Vegas, and also being heard on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, channel 90. I think we're on it on Friday nights. It's 8 to 9 Eastern time, 5 to 6 if you're out here on the,
he knows these
on the
things.
West Coast. Unless we get preempted for a Friday night truck race, and then they move us to a different time, and we don't really know when it is most of the time, but that's okay.
Hey, we're on. That's all that matters.
We're on. We're on. And
South Point Studio has a show on SiriusXM. We'll take it.
People bet on our picks and they don't win money. They tweet at us that they don't like us anymore. So anyway.
They call into the morning drive with Pete and Bagley.
That's Pistone and Bagley.
Yeah, Pistone and Bagley.
They will take your calls if our picks are not very
on the morning drive. Call them live.
Exactly.
Tell them you don't like us.
They are happy to defend us. I'm quite sure. You know what? I know I'm going to see Bagley when I go to Dover because that's like his hometown. He's going to have heard about this. So, okay, let's take a look at our driver head-to-heads. You know, the last few weeks you've kind of just basically wanted to take a nap while we were talking about
not this week.
But at least this week we actually have some real numbers up there, and I think there's some intriguing ones. I don't know that there's ones that I say, oh man, I'm all over that one. But there might be a couple of them. I'm on the Tyler Reddick bandwagon. He's plus 120 to William Byron's minus 140 and plus 105 to Ryan Blaney's minus 125. So maybe because right now I'm kind of on the Reddick bandwagon, I like those picks.
I was trying to look. The thing I punched and Judy to death last year, and I like the head-to-heads. And this week I love that we have some great numbers, right? We have real spreads. We're getting back into the real deal here. The problem is they got the matchups that are so tight. I don't like William Byron at 130 next to Kyle Larson at minus 150. I just don't want to bet that. Tyler Reddick 115 versus William Byron's 135 minus 130. I don't dislike that, but even I love Chris Buescher and Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is plus 120 against Ty Gibbs minus 140,
and
Chris Buescher. Like that to me right there says, Kyle Busch. Well, wait a second. I think that's probably the way the number should be for this race. So
that's kind of getting into your what have you done for me lately, because we know how well Chris Buescher and even Ty Gibbs has run here at Bristol lately. Kyle hasn't been quite as good since he wasn't driving for the Gibbs team. So
there's the hard part for me, and the only one I might look at is Logano 115 to Brad Keselowski's minus 135. I think that Logano will finally turn this stuff around. But when you look at those two average finish, 14-9, 15-1, last 10 races, it's a coin toss. So it still is difficult for me to pick one there, just because even though Brad's been running well lately, and remember how great Brad was early in his career at Bristol, I kind of like Joey Logano in that head-to-head. Just something to me says I like that.
So when do you get the same way with Joey that you have gotten with Chase?
I still got a long way to go for that one. Okay. I still got a long way. I think that because I've seen speed out of that Pennzoil team. They've been fast. They've been doing well. They just had just like Chris Buescher. Chris has been fast. Literally had the wheels fall off. So I'm not on that. Chase Elliott. I remember I rode that bandwagon last year saying he's going to win. He's going to win. He's going to win. And then finally I went, holy cow, he's not going to win. And he had his head out to lunch or whatever else it was. And so now I'm waiting until he gets himself righted. But Joey, I don't think, is on the wrong. He's just had a couple rough
starts and bad luck. Yeah. But sometimes you have bad luck because you're running poorly and you get.
I always just say it's bad luck when you get wrecked when you're running 32nd. Well, yeah, you're running 32nd. That's going to happen.
By the way, if we have a clip we want to run back on this, Brendan referring to head out to lunch. Because I know you wanted to say his head was somewhere, and that's not exactly what you were thinking, but you recovered yourself
out to lunch
on this family show.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was going out to lunch for the whole thing. Never would have thought anywhere different.
Okay. It's group pick time, and, we don't typically like Group A's. I picked a Group A last week and got a win on Group A, and there's some pretty interesting numbers on Group A this week. Kyle Larson is the favorite. Not a big surprise. That's not a mouthful. Not a big surprise at plus 225. Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell plus 260. And William Byron a plus 345. That's a big number on a guy like William Byron. Big number.
And look, that's a lot of guys he's got to go up against that are really, really, really strong. But wow, that's that. I mean, you remember what folks at home have to understand is that the odds makers, what they're trying to do is entice you, right? That's what they want to do, is they want to move money into certain places. Putting a 345 out there in a Group A with a guy the caliber of William Byron, that's enticement right there. I mean, I know it's against Larson, I know it's against Hamlin, I know it's against Bell, but I do like that 345 number. That's a big number for a head-to-head.
It is a big number
for a group matchup.
It is a big number. I also like Christopher Bell here at plus 260. We know he's going to run well here. I know, Brennan, you're a big fan of momentum. Mm-hmm. He certainly has momentum. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm just bullish right now on these Toyotas. And I know Denny Hamlin right there. And I'll just, and Larson was not even a factor last week at Phoenix. He never really was the entire race. And I don't know how much you can equate Phoenix to Bristol, but they have made changes to this car for the short tracks alone, and I think we could see that correlate over a lot of these short tracks.
But Byron was not a non-factor. He was 6th and 4th in the 2 stages. He got off that pit sequence and ended up with a bad finish, but he was fast during the day. And at Las Vegas, he was down 2 laps at one point to come back on the lead lap. So, I mean...
But, my friend, he was nowhere in the class of Christopher Bell last week.
No, but...
He wasn't going to beat Christopher Bell no matter what. No one was going to beat Christopher Bell unless Christopher Bell beat himself.
Martin Truex.
No, well, I know. I just said Truex would have gotten the top 3. And somebody on the show picked him for a top 3, and that's why I still have a bone to pick with James Small, because I would have a very large lead in our standings right now. Anyway, let's go to Group B.
Anyway.
Chris Buescher, last year's fall winner, and Ty Gibbs, you talked about him with the top 5 there at plus 265. Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch both at plus 270. This is the proverbial throw a blanket over them, because they are all pretty close together.
They got the odds tight. And the Ross Chastain, though, here's the deal. Ross been a different guy, right? The last couple of years with this, we used to have the thing where he had to throw his stats out because of the old teams. We're no longer that way with him. We've gotten to some of the, better teams now. Got a 6th place finish here, 2022, 23rd last year on the pavement. He has by far the worst average finish of everybody in this group. So then I go back to the Kyle Busch being Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch is not Kyle Busch right now. So I got a 2-man horse race. They're both the 2 favorites, Ty and Chris Buescher. I kind of like the Chris Buescher bet, but it's throw a blanket. It's a tough one for me on this one over those top 2.
And I'm totally with you. Ty Gibbs in the Toyota, I like that. Buescher, I know his confidence level here, but I'm with you. This is a group that kind of just scares me. I really don't know where to go.
I mean, I can take the bottom 2, kind of take them out right now, in my opinion. But I still the top 2 guys I can't differentiate between.
Well, and look, I'm never going to sell Kyle Busch short when it comes to Bristol, because even if the car's not quite as good, sometimes he can make up for it. All right, let's take a look at Group C, where Brad Keselowski is our favorite at plus 240, Chase Elliott and Joey Logano both at plus 270, and Martin Truex Jr. coming in at a plus 295.
Didn't I just say something about Joey Logano versus Brad Keselowski getting him for plus 115? Well, I don't think Chase Elliott is anything to talk about yet, so there's one guy out. You're high on Truex. I looked at his stats and said, oh my God, I don't like him at all here. So that takes me back to, do I take Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, Joey for a head-to-head for plus 115, or do I take Joey Logano plus 270 in a head-to-head against Brad Keselowski at 270? I will take Joey Logano, please, for 200, Alex. Or actually 270.
I'm not surprised you do that. And you know what? Yes, I am I love the numbers that we're getting on Truex. I'm not saying I love Truex. I love the numbers we're getting on Truex.
Backpedaling pretty fast over here.
Kesel. Don't necessarily know that now. Okay. But I actually like going head-to-head with you here, and I kind of like Keselowski.
All right.
I know he's the favorite, but it's plus 240.
Yeah,
it's not like he's the favorite at plus 115. He's a favorite at plus 240. So.
I'd take time to write that one down. I don't want to forget that one.
Oh, okay. We might go head-to-head on this one. All right, good. Okay, let's take a look at Group D. We got a couple of co-favorites here. Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman at plus 250. Michael McDowell at plus 280. And Eric Jones at plus 295.
I'm just going to give you the what have you done for me lately theory in this whole group. And Bubba has done some lately. I'll give you that. Not at Bristol. But Michael McDowell, how well this team is firing right now. Todd Gilliland led laps at Atlanta. Todd Gilliland led laps at last week at Phoenix. Todd Gilliland led laps at Daytona. That front row team is a brand new team. McDowell no longer in Group E and F. He's moved his way up to Group D. But I like him in this group at 280.
Oh well, and I'm kind of torn here between Bubba and McDowell. So I'm not at all disagreeing with you on that, because I do like McDowell here. I think this is where I talked about the Toyotas. And I think with that, I'm probably going to give the edge to Bubba on this one. And the thing about it is, we don't have to always go for a long shot. We can go for a favorite. And but he's not a huge favorite. He's actually a co-favorite with Bowman. So I like Bubba a little bit more than I do McDowell here. But honestly, I do kind of think it could come down to those two.
I mean, Bubba Wallace average finish 19.9, 22.5. He's got a better average finish than McDowell in the last 10 races. Something right now about this front row team is really, really saying I expect some big things out of them as this year moves on.
Well, and they may do that. All right, let's take a look at our Group E. Daniel Suarez is a overwhelming favorite here at plus 235, and then Carson Hocevar, Noah Gragson, Chase Briscoe all coming in at plus 280. I think there's a reason Suarez is the favorite here, and
so do I. I'm bummed that Hocevar is in Group E. That was just after
you were hoping for a Group F steal here.
I was hoping for a Group F steal on this one. Chase Briscoe is the outlier in this. Chase showed up last weekend at Phoenix and gets a solid top 10 finish. And to me, that spooks me a little. Noah probably been the strongest of the Stewart-Haas cars.
He's been strong in every race he could be strong in. He got taken out on the second lap at Atlanta, so really don't know, but he run well everywhere else.
And Daniel Suarez, I'm trying to find where he's been at in this. Where is Daniel Suarez? Oh, there he is. Average finish 16.6.
Okay. I like Daniel Suarez here. All right, we'll be back on Gaughan Racing, our final segment. We'll give you our picks.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back here on our final segment of Gaughan Racing, Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan here at the, as if you're watching on the Ustream, you'll see the South Point Studio.
Is that kind of like
sign.
MySpace?
Live stream, Ustream, whatever. It's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
My book, FaceSpace?
I don't know. You sound like Bill Belichick. What's that what Bill Belichick used to always say? I've never been on Faceagram or Twitch book or what TikTok book or I don't know. I mean, we may not have
We're
TikTok.
showing our age.
May not have TikTok much longer. I don't think. Sounds like somebody's trying to get rid of it. I don't know. But that's for another show. That has nothing to do.
Different one doesn't have a South Point studio. We haven't gone that far yet.
Yeah, we
Give us some time. We might get there.
Brendan and I are. I'm not on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
No,
I'm not on TikTok. I remember seeing that guy do that like grape juice commercial. It was the first time I'd even really heard about. It wasn't a commercial. He did something where he was riding on the back with a Fleetwood Mac song, drinking a thing of grape juice, and somehow
that guy
becomes a celebrity.
Yeah, that guy doing the.
I'm thinking, really, I can be a
Segway
celebrity
or whatever it was, or the.
He was riding on the back of like a work truck or something.
No, it was on the one wheel thing.
I think he was like hanging off the back of a
Come on,
truck. I don't know.
I'm looking at the one guy in this room that looks like he has it.
Right. I mean.
It was a skateboard. He was on a skateboard.
Oh, I thought he was holding. Oh, but he was holding on the back of a truck, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, ocean spray.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy becomes like he's like, what was it? Andy Warhol said everybody will be a celebrity for 15 minutes in their life. I guess that was his 15 minutes. Okay.
Let's get.
Boy, we really got off the rails there, didn't we?
We really digressed.
Yes, we did. Okay, so our final group is Group F. Austin Dillon, A.J. Allmendinger, both at plus 260. Josh Berry and John Hunter Nemechek at plus 275. And Brendan, you know which group this is for me? I'm staying so far away from it. Throw up the X. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, look, Dylan has not run well. Dinger not full-time. Barry hasn't shown anything. John Hunter, this is a group that, to me, we always have the one that we put the big X over. To me, this is my X today. Normally Group F's our favorite, too. This is 2 weeks in a row that our F's just aren't.
Well, back in the day when we had Chris Busher in Group F, and we would pick him every week. And I mean, Chris Busher, it was really funny. We did your blackjack tournament here last year, and Chris Busher played in it, and you and I were telling him how much money he actually made the gamblers. He was kind of surprised.
Yeah, no.
He didn't realize.
He cashed more tickets than anybody for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, I think it made him kind of happy. But then we told him he was running too well, and
they moved him up.
He has to actually compete with better drivers, and it's harder for him to win anybody money. Okay. Our last line of the day, if you will, is our manufacturer props, and we have a new leader in the clubhouse here when it comes to odds. Toyota has jumped up top at a plus 120, Chevrolet at plus 160, and Ford is at plus 280. And I honestly can't say that I disagree with these odds.
So here's the. You said it, right? This is the same package as last weekend at Phoenix. It's that short track package now. Actually, I think Bristol might have a different one. Now that I might take that back, but it's still a short track.
We should know that.
Toyota has just
we are doing a show. We should know that.
Yeah. Toyota has just proven some chops. We've talked about it all show. Toyota absolutely has the deal. But how about now? There's only 6 Toyotas in the field. Or no, sorry, there's 8 now. There's 8 Toyotas in the field.
We've added Eric Jones.
and John Hunter. So there's 8 Toyotas, and there's 14 Fords. And
14 Chevrolets. Is there 14
Fords?
Are there really?
And the only ones we've talked about, Joey Logano, and we never really mentioned Ryan Blaney much.
Talked about him a lot
because he's not in it.
He's not in a group.
Not in a group. And Chris Boucher. We've talked about 3 of them.
And Keselowski a little bit.
Yeah, but it's if we're talking about the win, Ryan Blaney, we didn't even talk much about him, even in the wins or nothing, just because the odds weren't that great. But there's the Fords right now should honestly almost be embarrassed that you've got the numbers, sheer numbers. And you're that big of a dog, and it's not big enough for me to entice to bet it. That's the worst part is I'm looking at that 280 going, yeah, I still don't see it.
And I guess if you're looking for value, the value is in Chevrolet right now because you're getting Kyle Larson and William Byron. And look, I think Ross Chastain's a guy who could certainly have a good run here in a Chevrolet. But I think definitely having those 2 Hendrick cars right now. And then who knows when, like you said, when is it going to be the week that Chase Elliott puts it together?
Yep.
Whether it's this week. So I think the value on Chevrolet is really good here. But it's fair, I think, that Toyota isn't in the lead. Okay, let's take a quick look at our championship odds now. They've really kind of
changed a little now.
They've tightened up with Christopher Bell's win last week. I'm really still a little bit surprised. Chase Elliott is still up there at plus 700, but Kyle Larson is still your favorite at plus 500. Byron is 600, but now it's Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell who has entered the conversation at a plus 700. Joey Logano is at 10-1. Truex Blaney 12-1. Reddick 14-1. Not a bad number there. Kyle Busch is 14. Chastain is 16. Those RFK cars, Keselowski and Buescher, are 20 and 25 respectively. Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, all 25. Bubba's at 40. Suarez 75-1. He's really kind of the last guy on that list that we know is going to be in the playoffs. 75-1. Still a pretty good number, I think, actually, if you get on Daniel Suarez.
Well, look, it's going to go down to probably 16-1 once the playoffs start. He'll be in there. I just look at this and still remind everybody this is the best way you can hedge. This is your future betting. This is the way to get ahead of things. Ross Chastain is only going to go down at 16-1. Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, I both believe, will start shrinking from 25 and 20. They'll be shrinking down. I think that a Chase Elliott, that I wouldn't bet him right now at 700. No, I think he's going to get to double digits before too long. So I would wait on Chase Elliott. Joey Logano, I think he's going to go the right way. Our current champion, Ryan Blaney, is 12-1. You think that's not going to shrink? There's numbers there, guys, that those numbers will go down. And if Ty Gibbs continues the trek that he's having, that 25-1 number will also shrink.
Well, once guys that haven't won pick up a win, it's going to improve. I mean, we saw that last week. Christopher Bell, 12-1 to me was a pretty high number. Guess what? If you want to bet Christopher Bell, too late. Because you're not going to get a better number the rest of the year on Christopher Bell.
It might go 750, maybe, if he has
But it's never going to get back to 12-1.
It ain't going to get double digit
Won't
again.
Even get close there. Speaking of last week, our picks for last week, even though a couple weeks ago the pit crew picked a big old top 3 with Daniel Suarez, they have hit the skids a little bit.
It was a high odd top 3, by the way.
It was a high odd top 3, but
it looks like Wyatt's making their picks again.
They have hit the skids, but you had a great week last week. You had two.
Who cashed my ticket, baby?
Chris Buescher.
There you go.
Your boy Chris Buescher. And you've also been on a Michael McDowell train as well. Michael McDowell also came in for you with a group win. I had a group win, which I almost never pick Group A, so I'm going to do it 2 weeks in a row. Hint, hint. Ryan Blaney got me a win there. Rough week for the pit crew, though. And the pit crew comes in last, so guess whose picks get to go first?
And they've gone from first to worst already.
They've gone from first to worst already. We're putting the bandages back on their photo. Remember that photo from last year where they looked like they were the wrestlers or whatever? Quick. So the pit crew picks for this week, they are going with Kyle Busch head-to-head over Chris Buescher. They're taking Denny Hamlin to win Group A, Joey Logano in Group C, Michael McDowell in Group D, and they are taking Chevy to win that plus 160.
Okay.
And you are just a tick behind me in the standings right now. You made a huge gain this week, though. I got to give you credit. I know you're back there right now.
All right, so I still have one that I'm kind of like debating on, and it's a top 3 pick, and I don't know if I want Byron or Buescher. I'm kind of torn between the Byron and Buescher pick.
It's about time for you to decide.
I still got 4 minutes left.
Well, I got it.
That leaves me.
You don't leave me any time to do my picks.
See,
yeah, we'll have to read them on Twitter or X or whatever we call it now.
I think I'm going to go with a Byron top 3. I think that Byron has just kind of run pretty fast all season, and I like that one. But then I'm going to go Reddick over Byron in the head-to-heads. I could win both still, by the way. Just
you could lose both too, but just saying.
But I'm bummed. I got 2 group matchups. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Joey Logano, Group C, and then Michael McDowell, the man that's been cashing my tickets in Group D. I'm staying away from Buescher this week in the group. I should have, but then my last one, I'm going Toyota. I'm taking that plus 120 Toyota. It's as good as the head-to-head that I wanted to get, or better. So I'm taking that Toyota pick. I think they got too many strong guys right now that are running way too strong.
All right. I think that's a good pick, actually. I'm staying away from the manufacturer pick, but I like that. All right, I'm going to take a top 3. I've been very bullish in the entire show on Tyler Reddick. Mm-hmm. So I like the plus 350 on Tyler Reddick for a plus 3 or for a top 3. And then I'm going into groups for the rest of my picks. I'm going to go Group A, and I'm going to ride the momentum and go with Christopher Bell. And then I'm going to take some favorites. I'm not going to really go too far out on a limb here. Group C, I'm going with Brad Keselowski. In Group D, I'm going with Bubba Wallace. And in Group E, I'm going with Daniel Suarez. So those are my picks for the week. So that's all 3 of our picks for this week. We got a couple minutes left in the show. So first thing I'll ask you is, how excited are you to see them back on the concrete at Bristol, not going to be on the dirt this week?
Look, I don't
a great experiment.
No. And here's the thing. It wasn't just an experiment. They went to dirt. NASCAR went back dirt racing for the first time in decades. And, and they had some modicum of success in Eldora in the trucks. Actually, great success Eldora in the trucks. The Knoxville did not work out well for when the Cup cars went there.
Did they run?
Or was
trucks went to the trucks go to Knoxville?
The Cup went to Knoxville too.
No, Cups only run Bristol.
Oh, maybe it was just Bristol. But then they added that's right, because it didn't go well with trucks. And then they went to Bristol.
Did they do Knoxville trucks? Yes, because they did Eldora and they did Knoxville. We have no more dirt on or any of the top 3 series. Nope. I don't believe now.
But I think the Bristol thing was cool. If you ever went to it, it was something that you're going to be able to say, I went to Bristol dirt. Super duper cool.
I went to Bristol dirt. I was there the night that was it Briscoe and Reddick took each other out. Yeah, and Kyle Busch ended up winning the race, and I threw away a pair of sneakers when the race was over.
But they did a nice job of doing it. But this is Bristol, baby. Bristol. That concrete, how tough it is anyway. It's already a phenomenal venue. So excited to see that. I think most of the drivers are excited to see it back as the regular, just old school Bristol race.
Well, Bristol's always a fun place. I mean, it's like, I think Dick Trickle said it was like flying a jet plane in a gymnasium. But Jeremy Mayfield might have had my favorite line when he said it was kind of like doing your drying your clothes. Somebody's going to lose a sock.
And listen, it is super fun. I mean, look, you hold your breath for a little bit.
Do you like racing there?
I loved it, man. I loved racing Bristol. I had a lot of good runs there.
You like that high line. You always like the high line.
I hated it when Bruton, God bless him, he did that levigating, whatever the heck you guys called it, Hated it when he did that, but man, that track is so much fun. I loved when they put the parabolic arch in it with that banking. So nice. It's a phenomenal place to race, Jeff. I love it. Still one of my favorites to this day.
Well, look forward to it this weekend at Bristol. Next week, Brendan's going to be remote. I'll be here in the studio.
I will be remote next week.
And I'll tell those of you who are watching on the live stream that it'll be a madhouse behind us because we'll have about 1,000 people doing March Madness. But we'll be back next week. We'll break down everything at Bristol and start talking about the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.